everybody, welcome to another episode of Let's Play. I'm here with Ben. Back again. And we're going to be doing some Warcrow Winds from the North. This is the two-player starter set for Warcrow, the Fantasy Skirmish game from Corvus Belli, makers of Infinity. And you kindly volunteered to paint up the orky half of this.
Well, yeah, they're great models.
You do love orcs.
Yeah.
And you do love great miniatures. And this is actually a mechanic style game with like the strikes and switches and stuff that you're very into. Like you played
it's
Marvel,
my dream.
you played
Legions /
Legions.
Malifaux.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's Legion of Foe or Malalegions or something like that. It's
its own thing, but it's very similar.
But it's also an artsy scale of like number of miniatures, which means like you don't have to paint a ton of stuff, so you can do all your attention to detail and all the fun things you like to do. So, short story long, you painted the Northern Tribes half, I painted the Hegemony half, and we're gonna play through the 3 missions that are the mini campaign in this 2-player starter set. So, if you haven't seen this box, it comes with terrain, a battle mat, all the tokens, the bespoke measuring devices that you need for this game because you measure in strides, and a little 3-game scenario that escalates like what you use in the box set and follows the story of the Hegemony and the Northern Tribes, basically both rushing to fight a battle against this big new menace, which is probably going to be the big evil factions that get released for this game eventually.
It's the evilest looking one.
Yeah. And it's the goal here obviously is that we have different like ideologies on how to stop it, and we're kind of having a fight along the way. And there's this huge like winter storm brewing and stuff too. So we'll show you the table, we'll show you the models we painted up, the collection from this box set, and we'll get this underway. All right, so here is the Warcrow Winds in the North 2-player introductory box, all laid out. We have here the Northern Tribes. We've got Albork and the Wise Man, which are the 2 leader models here. Unit of Orc Hunters, which is kind of like the infantry unit, and then a Shaman, which is called a... What's the name of the Shaman?
It's called an Invoker. It's not in this scenario, though.
It's not in this scenario, though. We're just showing off the model kits. And then over here, we have the Hetman / special character. Both of these guys are kind of like dual purpose. His name is Dragoslav Bjelaric Drago the Anvil. And then we have his War Surgeon here with his cool like Plague Doctor mask. We have a caster called a Frostfire Herald, an elf. And then we have a unit of Bucklemen led by the little Buckleman leader. And these are the Hegemony human troops with a single elf that are facing them down. Also in the box is all of this like cardboard plunder, the wonderful tokens and stuff. This is our turn tracker. It also tracks events and stuff. We have some 2D terrain markers for woods, palisades. We have some lovely cardstock buildings and walls that'll also be available in the like scenario. Our objective tokens, activation tokens, stress tokens, and then all of our crazy dice. Basically, if you want a quick sort of like hack, is that cool color dice, green, blue, and black are all the defensive dice. Warm color dice, yellow, orange, and red are all the offensive dice. Got measuring gauges in strides. Now this game uses its own sort of bespoke measuring system of bases. Everything's on a 30 mil base, and you measure side to side. So if you're going to move a model 2 strides, for instance, this little 2 on here, you go from front of the base to back of the base. And that's going to be 2 30 mil increments that's totally moved, because you can see this is 1 30 mil increment and the base is a second one. You can also measure this way in strides, which is the sort of like individual stride markers. So you do need these measuring devices out of the box because usual tape measures are a little bit difficult to use because they're not in 30 mil, but if you can find a millimeters one, I guess you could do the math yourself. Monster token for one of the later scenarios when this big weird fella shows up, wound markers, and then event tokens for when events take place on the event tracker. Stuff won't be used in the core missions or in the core box, but it's all going to be important as units roll out for this game, and you can play larger. I think it's 250 points, you said?
250 is the standard.
Yep. For this first mission, we're going to be playing through A Voice in the Storm. Now, the campaign basically tells the story, and we'll have events that unlock, too, at the end of the game to see who's got the most military points, arcane points, going into the final score for who wins the campaign. So in A Voice in the Storm, we're not going to have our full complement of units. I don't have Drago. Instead, I have a Hetman, which is like the non-special character version of Drago, leading my force. I have a unit of Bucklemen, which is these 4 guys right here with their leader, and I have a War Surgeon, so my caster is going to stay off. You don't have the character Albork. You have his generic version, which is...
No, I actually have Albork.
Oh, it's actually Albork. Oh, never mind.
I'm pretty sure. because you're a scouting. You're a scouting
right.
unit that's running into me.
That's right. I don't get my character. You do get yours, but you have your wise man, who's a generic character, and you have your unit of hunters, but you don't use your wizard. Notice on the card there are point values in the top corner. There's also little command points used in the full game, but not so far. And there's two types of cards. There's unit cards and character cards. Character cards have two formats. There's the top half of the card, which is when they're used on their own. And for this scenario, all of my models will be used as individuals. We don't have any characters attaching. And there's their attached version where you lay them under a unit and you apply these bonuses to that unit when you're activating it. So a lot of characters can be attached. It'll say in their tags here, it'll say join infantry. So both these characters can join infantry. And any other special rules, like this is human infantry, character human, so that's why it's got join infantry. Character high command human and join infantry. High command means they can lead the army. Right, you do have just a regular Wrathman. I thought our characters didn't show up until the end. So then we have our stat line, which is our move. So first move, second move, and then the third bracketed move is how far you can charge. If you're familiar with Infinity, this is a very common thing because you have two actions during a turn. The first one is how far you move with your first action. Second one's your second action. If you make a charge move, that's your total movement, and all movements have to be in a straight line. Your wounds is how much damage you can take. Your willpower is like your brain skill check, basically. And all those stats are represented by a dice. So for instance, the War Surgeon and the Buckleman have an orange dice. The Hetman has two orange dice, and he has Inspiring Leadership. Anybody within 20 paces of him can use his leadership. Morale, which is a stat line for how much of the stress they can absorb, basically, before they start to break. And then their AVE, which is their availability, is in 250 points. Yeah, you can take this many units. It's not relevant in these like sort of bespoke missions. Any special rules will be on the following lines, and units also have their attack values. So for instance, these are melee attack values. These are defensive attack values. And when it's staggered, if there's a full unit, then they have this many. When they drop down to one remaining guy,
it'll vary per unit apparently, but yeah, there's a number there. It's generally half.
Yeah, it's generally half. So when I have 3 or more models, I have this. When I have 2 or less models, I have that. The difference between a regular character and a command character is a command will actually add to that threshold because they count as a warrior in the unit. So the War Surgeon doesn't count towards the threshold of how many guys are left, whereas the Hetman would. Dice have 2 results typically. There's either a strike or a shield, so you can see them right here. And then all dice will typically also have a switch. Now a switch is the ability that unlocks one of your bonus things on a card. A hollow switch sometimes will activate one, a filled-in switch will activate another, and any hollow strikes or shields are available to elite units. So I don't have the elite tag on any of my units, just not that well trained. I think you have on your Wrath.
The Wrathman is elite.
He's elite. So he'll count hollow strikes. It's basically like a second level of success that increases your chances of succeeding on a dice roll. Last kind of important thing is going to be this right here. This is going to keep track of our rounds and activations. So we have 2 different colors. I'll be blue and you can be red for the sake of our activations. We have an event tracker. We have a single event marked 1, which moves 2 spaces forward every turn. And then every scenario will also have how many activations you get per round. So in this one, we get 2 activations per round. It means 2 of our units can activate before the round ends and everything resets. And whenever a unit lands on the event, it triggers. So the event can trigger more than once. In this case, we're gonna have a snowstorm. Our guys are gonna have to keep rolling their willpower checks to see if they get the slow condition because the snow starts to build up. We're set up for a voice in the storm. So we have our building here on the table. We have 1, 2, 3 objectives, and they're numbered 1, 2, and then A for some reason. So 1 and 2. If anyone holds these at the same time, they end the scenario and win the game because they've taken this farmhouse. The central objective represents a broken canoptic jar that's a magic item, and all of these are scored at the end of the game for military points. And those military points will be tracked throughout the course of the campaign to see who's accrued the most resources for the full campaign that happens later. Deployment zone is within 5 strides of a table edge, and we're going to roll off at the very beginning to do deployment. So game setup, select the scenario, and recruit your company, which we've done. Create your command reserve. We're not doing that in this case because we're not using command yet. But those are like additional abilities you can unlock, little like perks.
It's a stripped down version, really. Yeah.
Decide who has the initiative with a orange and yellow dice, and you compare strikes. So whoever has the most strikes will win. I got 2 strikes.
I have 1.
So I win and have the initiative for the round. I decide who deploys first, and you get to pick the deployment zones. They're basically equal at this point. So the person without initiative places their first fence anywhere they want in their half of the table. And I will do the same. Like so. Moved across freely, but they could give you cover if you're being shot at. The only shooting unit I think in this game right now is going to be my Hetman. Deploy. So I will say that you deploy first and place the unit within 5. of the edge. Back and forth deploying. Within does mean from the back of the base. So you're placing down a unit of hunters. I'll place down my unit of bucklemen. Normally characters can join, but in this scenario it specifies characters can't join units. And all measurements done from the unit leader. So my buckleman leader will be the guy that we do all the movement from, and then you arrange the unit around him. As long as they don't move as further than he does, that's the core for deployment. We are deployed, and that means that we now have to decide who is going to be going first. The player with initiative can choose, and I will choose to have you activate first. So you're going to put your counter down on 1, and then we start leapfrogging each other. So yours is going to go there, mine's going to go here, and you go and activate. So at the end of the activation of the round, the event will happen, and because we have a grand total of 2 turns each, there's a total of 4 turns on the table, and we get to it, we reset, and the new round starts. First activation, you can take 2 actions. They can be moving, shooting, and melee attacks. There's also special actions on your card, but we won't have any of those right now because these are mostly just fighting units.
Yep, so I'm going to move my orcs.
Okay.
So,
and all moves are in a straight line, so there is no curving your moves here, which means you can only move front to back. And again, only the leader really matters. You go 3-2.
And then I'll just follow these guys up. So they move twice, and they get an activation token.
Perfect. Action the first, now we roll our event. And the event is the snow kicks off. Everybody's got to make a willpower test, or they receive the slow condition, which means they can only move a single movement action. I'll do mine first. So willpower is normally going to be 1 orange dice. I'm using Inspiring Leadership on the Hetman to use it on 2. As long as I get a strike, I'll succeed. I do, so they're good on that one. The War Surgeon, also good, and the Hetman, also good. So nobody's slowed down right now, and then you get to roll as well.
Yeah, so I got these guys, 1 orange. They fail, so they're going to get slow.
Which means they can make a single move action.
Yeah, and then I'll take that one. My Wrathmane has 2 orange. He's good. And I have a orange and a yellow on the Wrathmane. He is good.
On the not Wrathmane.
Wiseman.
Right. So that is the first activation or first turn done. It goes over to me. Now, models can activate more than once per turn, but they gain a stress every time they do so. And once they hit their stress capacity on their morale, they have to rest basically as an activation and get rid of it. You also get one for free taken off at the end of every round. Too hot, you also might run away. So what I'm going to do now, activate my Hetman, or my Buckleman. And they're going to move 3-3. So the leader's going to move. He's going to go 1. And the leader's going to move. He's going to go another 1. And he's going to wait for you to come fight.
Oh, sorry.
And that's right. The event token moves 2. And you also hop over to there.
Yep.
Because you hop over me in your second action. So now I will also hop over. And then you'll move off at the end of this. Last activation. I get an activated token on these Bucklemen. And you get to go. You gain a stress.
Not yet, but I will, because I'm going to stress them and make them go.
Yeah.
So they're going to use it for a charge.
And go fight my Bucklemen. Some hand-to-hand combat with their brutal close combat weapons. I fill in by pushing into base contact if I can with everybody, trying to make everybody have a dancing partner. And then we start stabbing. So now you're going to use your attack profile, and any triggers that you have get activated after you roll your dice. Now the bonus for charging is that you get to re-roll the entire pool if you want. You can't pick and choose dice though, unless you have a special ability. Pool is a red, 3 orange, and a yellow.
Yep. And if I get 2 exclamation marks filled in, I can give you the vulnerable state.
All right. You got 1 strike.
2.
And then 1 filled in, or 2 strikes. Would you like to re-roll that?
I would.
It's not a great roll. There's a lot of strikes in there.
Oh, I could make it worse.
You got 1 because those 2 unfilled in strikes are going to be not useful because not being elite. So you can make me vulnerable though.
Yep.
And what will that do? 1 vulnerable token, which means I have to reroll 1 of my dice. My defense dice are going to be green, green, black, and any filled in switches add another shield to my dice roll.
Yeah.
So you've gotten 1 hit here. I'm just trying to roll a single shield to block it.
Yeah. And if you roll multiple dice, I choose which one re-rolls.
So you can. I've rolled effectively 4 shields here. I rolled 5 shields. I adequately block this, and we spend the vulnerable token. Okay then. So that was your second activation, and also we have to roll the event again because you landed on the event. At the end of the combat, because no damage was caused on either side, the combat is now drawn, which means that neither side gets pushed back, and both sides just stay in combat. So I now have to choose 1 more to activate. And sorry, we do get to roll because they lose their slowed because they took the penalty of 4 to their 10 centimeter or 10 stride charge move.
Yeah.
But then they lose that slowed. So now we have to roll for everybody again because it's the end of that turn. So I'm going to do my Hetman real fast. He passes. My War Surgeon also passes, and my Buckleman also pass.
Okay.
And then for you,
got the Wise Mane, good. The Wrath Mane, which is 2 of these, good. And then my Orc Hunters, actually good this time.
all right, and then it goes back to 1. And I have to check my second activation. I think I'm going to go with my... Oh, do I want to do my Hetman? Because these can be jumped over and just cause cover, my Hetman can make his charge. He's going to charge 8 plus his base. I'm going to get into combat with this guy and make a stab. And he gets to do a melee attack of red, yellow, blue, and an extra strike. He can also stress himself to gain a bonus strike, which he'll do because he's going to lose at the end of the turn anyway, so why not? So red, yellow, blue. And he's going to have 2 bonus strikes because of the stress. So I'm going to get 1, 2 total. I can use hollows, which I did not roll any of, to add to my roll. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to re-roll this instead because I don't like this result. It gets worse. So I've got 2, 4 total. I have an ability where you can roll blocks, or sorry, trade blocks if you get any of your switches.
Just for a hit.
Damage.
Except I rolled even worse than you.
Okay.
So I have no triggers that will help with that. Now, on top of that, because I'm outnumbered now, 1, you're going to get opportune attacks with that unit.
I will.
And you get to cancel one of these dice.
Yep.
So, which they're all bad.
Matter.
Yeah.
So I'll do 4 damage total then.
Yep.
And that will take off 2 guys.
Correct.
Because they have 2 health each. And then I get to make an opportune attack with these guys. So I think I don't pile in though, do I? It's an opportune attack, which means I lose a dice. So I have red, orange, orange, orange. I'll lose an orange.
Like, as long as the leader's engaged, you get all the dice.
Yeah.
On the table, I don't know how the movement part works.
Good. Then let's not worry about it, because we didn't make a charge move, so I don't think anybody piles in. But let's just stab. End of the attack, we would move in afterwards. So we resolve my attack, and then I'd pile in any models that are engaged. Yeah. So I lose a dice because I'm making an opportune attack. So I'm only going to have 2 orange dice and a red dice.
Oh, no.
It's not actually that one of my dice goes away. It's that I get to cancel one of yours.
Yeah.
Okay. And I can trade hollow switches for shields. Not the best. I didn't charge though, so there's really nothing I can do here. I get 2 shields though, which is nice.
Yeah. So now you can cancel one of my
I'll
dice.
Cancel one of these and do a damage to you.
Yeah. Which
1 damage on you, and then do they get stressed from that?
No, I lost. So the overall combat is now added up.
Yep.
I've taken 5 wounds to your none.
Yep.
So I have definitely lost. So I will gain another stress.
Take you to 2 stress.
Yep.
And then I also get to drive you back 3 by pushing your leader away.
Yeah. If you want, you can push me 3, and then you can choose whether or not to come back up.
I think
3.
oh, sorry. At the end of this combat, I did have to actually put them into combat too.
Yep.
I will not push you in. Or push you out, just keep in combat. Because at the end of this activation, your stress is now higher than your morale. You have to make a willpower check, and how many successes do you need?
I need 1.
Okay.
So I get 1 orange.
You succeed.
Okay.
So you don't run away.
I don't run away.
So then we get to the end of round effects. That was the end of that activation. So we're going to go back to the top, and it's going to become round 2 at the end of this.
So
we both lose a stress. So I go from 1 to 0, and you go from 0 to 1.
Yeah. So because I passed the test, I go down to what my maximum morale is, which is 1, and then
that goes away at the end.
Yeah, because we're at the end of a turn.
Oh, because you drop off the extra. That's right.
Yeah.
And then our activation tokens come off. We get to make follow-up tests, which is no one gets left behind. Not activated, not demoralized units, and not engaged units can make a move. You get to make a single move. So I'm going to go with my War Surgeon. He moves 3/3, so we're just going to move across here behind this wall. And then it's over to you. Both your characters get to move.
He's going to move 3, and then because he's old, he only moves 2.
Let's get those old wise man legs.
We don't have a winner or a loser.
That's right. There's no VP right now. Otherwise, I think it's the person currently losing gets to choose who's going first in the next round.
Yeah.
We're going to make another initiative check to see who goes first in round 2. And this game lasts 3 rounds. So I get nothing. You get 1. So you can choose, would you like to go first or second position here?
I think I have to go first.
So that's going to put me in the second position and you in first. And at the end of this first activation, you will roll. Oh, you choose. Okay, you're blue. Got it.
I'm going to activate. And I'm going to activate the Wrath Mane because I need help badly.
Please don't kill us.
Yeah. So he's definitely within range there. So he's going to charge into that unit and get rid of that multiple cup problem.
Because now each unit is engaged with 1 unit, so you're not outnumbered, which means no attacks of opportunity.
And then he's going to stress himself to gain a bonus. blank hit and an exclamation mark because I really need to turn the balance on this.
That's right, because you're elite, so all the blanks count as successes, and you get bonus switches here. Red, orange, yellow is your...
This is my Wrathmane attack. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so that's
pretty great.
good.
That's
So
6.
we're going to leave that, and because I've got the extra hit, so that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hits. And I will actually choose these two to not turn them into solid ones.
Okay.
Those 2 symbols will just cause 2 wounds to you right now.
Just auto wounds, just kill a guy.
Yep.
All right, so I get to make my saves now. I've got 2 green and a black. I'm going to get 1, 2 successes, 3 because I count this switch. So I get 3 blocks to your 4, so I'll take 1 damage plus the 2 automatic damage.
Yeah.
So 3 overall, so I'm going to lose one of my dudes, and I'll have a floating wound. I immediately take the 2 wounds, and then I blocked 3 of that 4.
So potentially, if you were at 3 guys, I took you down to 2, you'd have different dice.
Change the unit composition. Yes, my defenses do go down. Okay, well, that wasn't great. He's stressed, but he could go again. So I think what we end up doing is going with the War Surgeon. And does he charge? I could also first aid. I think I'm going to first aid. Target an allied unit within 5 strides. Reduce by 1 the target's stress roll, because my stress did go up to 1 there because I got attacked.
Sorry, because we're getting out of sequence. I would have pushed you.
You could push me out because you won by 1.
Your leader's back there. And I would not follow up that one.
Okay. We actually activate the Hetman, not the War Surgeon. Because I just realized I can't actually activate... No, we'll activate the War Surgeon. He's going to activate and use the first aid ability. Target an ally unit within 5 strides, reduced by 1 their stress. And then roll a red-orange and heal 1 blood for every success. So heal 1 blood. Action 1, action 2, I'm just going to move slightly over to here. Charged by the Wrathmane, and he's activated. So, you know what, we'll stay right there, actually. I don't care what
we did it wrong again.
I also have to make a weather check, because it might have mattered for being slow.
Oh, no, we did off the turn?
No, we did the end of the turn.
Did we? Okay.
I succeed with the Buckleman. I succeed with the War Surgeon. I don't succeed with the boss, so he's slowed. And it's good.
Double orange. Wrathmane is good. That doesn't screw anything up. And then the orcs are good.
It's your second activation, and you'll have to test again.
Yep. At the end of it. So for me, I'm going to actually activate the Wrathmane because I need him to get up there. So he's going to do a 2 and a 3 so that he gets in range for contention there.
And now we roll again.
Not that it matters with him.
So for the Buckleman, they succeed. For the War Surgeon, he succeeds. For the Hetman, he succeeds.
Good. Wrathmane, good. Orcs, bad.
Okay. So they're slowed. Well, my second activation then, and then this moves back to 1, and your token comes off because you finished activating. I am going to activate my Buckleman, and they're going to charge now because I don't have any stress on them. So he's going to go to there, and these guys will pile in and pile in. So I've got my red and 3 orange into this unit of hunters still, and I will get an opportunity attack from the Hetman afterward. And if I roll any hollow switches, I will get shields, which could matter because you could hit me back here. I did charge, so I could re-roll this, and I think I will actually. And I will get 3 and a shield.
Okay, so I am below my 2 range now, so I'm down 1 black dice. And because there's 2 units, you're going to choose which one of these doesn't count.
I choose this one to not count.
Yes, I scored nothing, so it doesn't really matter at this point.
So you take 3 damage, and I think that wipes them out.
That does wipe them out entirely. So now, as a victory, you can move 3 in any direction you want.
And I'm going to move 3 just over to here. Block the charge to my boss. End turn, so we start off with removing stress.
Yep.
So his stress comes off. Activation tokens come off.
You can move your follow-up guys.
I can move my follow-ups. So I have my boss who can make a follow-up move because he's no longer engaged. And he'll just move slightly sideways because he doesn't want to be stabbed. They've already activated both, so they can't do anything. You've both activated as well. So it is...
So now we do the scoring? No, there's no scoring in that center one.
Yeah, and again. And then this came off, so we're into initiative on the final turn of the game. The problem for you here is you literally have to kill my Hetman, or my Buckleman, because I have no conquest value on either of my characters, and you have none on either of yours. So these guys can control the objective with nobody else being around. Anyone else being around, they basically can't stop them because these guys are both 0 and they have a 2.
The units.
That's it.
Objectives are based on that.
All right, let's roll some initiative. I got a pair of successes.
I have 1.
All right, well, guess what? I'm going to go first. I'll make you go second. So your wise man is the least dangerous of these guys, although he's still hyper dangerous. So he's not
too bad.
I think we're going to end up charging. Yeah, I think we're going to end up charging with the Buckleman. And we're going to charge into your wise man. Like this. And not getting in combat with the other guy, the Wrathmane. Red triple orange is my attack value. And let's see if we can do some damage here into the wise man before we do anything else. I get 2 successes and 2 switches. I'm going to re-roll this for the charge and get 2 successes and 1 switch, which means I get 1 block here.
Okay, so I'm going to stress because I need to stay there.
Yep.
Although I now run the risk of fleeing if I lose.
If you lose, yeah.
So it's going to add a red dice to my defensive rolls.
Ooh, which means you might hit back.
That is the hope. It was much worse than that. So.
Okay, so you're going to take 2 damage, and I'm going to block that hit because I have my switch, which gives me a shield.
Yep, but I have 3, so I'm still there. But I'm going to take an extra stress.
Yep.
From losing,
which could make you break.
Could make me break. Yeah.
So let's take your morale check. And you pass.
I passed. Follow up.
I will push you back 3 to here. It's okay. And then can I follow up into somebody new?
No, it has because I survived.
Right.
That's the advantage of wiping out a unit.
I'm just going to stay under 1 stress, but it doesn't mean if you activate him, he can only rally.
He can, has to spend a turn resting, which means I'm clearly going to stress my Wrathmane.
Yep. Go get him, boys.
And he's going to charge.
As one does.
There's your leader there, so you go right into there.
And then they just pile into you.
And he's going to stress because I need you wiped out. So
stressing to 2, so your morale is almost loaded here in this fight. Otherwise, you might break.
Red, orange, yellow.
Many damage.
Yeah, because I'm raging, I add +1 to hit to my roll because I'm charging, and elite means I keep my fill-ins.
So I've got 4.
I've got 3 right now. And then I'm not going to turn these into hits. I'm going to use them as the hollows.
As automatic blood. So you automatically kill this guy. Yep, so he just died. That actually affects my defense roll now down to 2 blue. That was the important thing here. So normally I would have been rolling much more defense dice. But I still get 2 blocks. And no, the hollow switch doesn't do anything. So I'm going to block 2 of your 2 and take 2 more. Yep. And just have my leader remaining.
Because I want to be on that objective for all that it matters. So, and then I'll come right back up to it.
Okay.
And then you get a stress.
And I get a stress, but I don't run away, which is the important thing.
Yeah.
Get you back, but if you go again, you will be stressed to 3 and maybe break. You can't even activate again because you just rested.
I'll activate to clear it down to the 2.
Yeah. Okay, well then my choice is real easy here. We're gonna go with the Hetman, and he's gonna charge. Because why not? See if I can knock you back here.
You'd have to go like that. Yeah.
Yeah, on the objective on that side. And I lose my token. Make my stabs. So I have red, yellow, blue, plus an extra strike. I will exhaust myself to get a bonus one. So I have 2 bonuses here. Let's see if I can do some damage. Show me potato salad. That's not great. That's 1. Oh no, I get no bonuses here. I'll re-roll this because I charged. It gets worse. So I have 2 successes, and that's all.
And I block 1 of them.
So take a damage.
Yeah, he's got none on him, and he's got a huge amount of wounds.
And I do now do an opportunity attack, however, with my leader.
Yep.
I actually take 2 damage. That's right, yeah, because I cancel one of those for the strike, for being outnumbered. And then he gets to make orange, orange, yellow, yellow for the opportunity attack. It's going to be 2.
And you're going to cancel that again.
Yep.
So 2 more wounds. So he's barely alive.
1. And I'll drive you back.
He's got 5.
Is the important thing.
Well, and then the
stress first, because you go to 3 stress, you might run away.
Well, he is double orange because he's insanely angry all the time. He's good.
He passed. So then I'll push you back 3.
Yeah, so that drops down to 2.
And I get you off the objective. And that'll be game. End of the game, the result is I will hold this objective for 1 military point. You'll hold that objective for 1 military point because you lose your stress. Mm-hmm. I can therefore hold it. And I'll hold the central objective. Central one will give me an arcane point as well. So we each get a military point. I'm going to gain an arcane point for holding the middle. And that means that with a strategist, your objective has no choice but to withdraw their troops and leave empty-handed. You're victorious. The farm is yours. And then broken canopy jar. Once regrouped and away from the fray, the hetman hands the broken jar to an Asteri scholar accompanying them. The herald's fingers tremble as they lift it for a better look. It's not the first time he's seen something like this. There's another one of these at the College of Magic in Arcadia, the capital of the Hegemony. Although this one's broken, the two pieces of it fit together perfectly, and the Asteri shudders as he senses still latent talent vibrating through it. So I achieved the Canoptic Jar in this one, so I get to mark that as mine. And I've got one of these and one of these, and you've got one military point for these.
Yeah, I was here. That's what I got the point.
That's it. So we go with the end of the game. The Hegemony just taking the Canopy Jar. I think it's supposed to be Canoptic. There's a lot of translation stuff here.
There's a lot of Spanish stuff I can't do.
I'm not sure what the English word was supposed to be, but I think it's supposed to be Canoptic Jar because a Canopy Jar doesn't make a ton of sense.
I think you said several of the cities very well.
I did my best.
Yeah.
I did my best for these made up terms. And yeah, that's our initial impressions game. So if you've ever played Aristea or any of the, the board games, the adventure board games, like Defiance or obviously Warcrow Adventures, this dice system is Corvus Belli's sort of like modern game design mechanic thing. Because Infinity is basically an RPG. It's based on a D20 system. This is their like bespoke dice system where you can trigger things kind of thing. And you've played other games like this before with like Legion and Marvel Crisis Protocol, where this is a very
Malifaux more.
And Malifaux, yeah. Malifaux doesn't use dice though. It's the only reason why I didn't use that as an example. Where this kind of scale game has like special ability unlocks based on your RNG and your dice rolls. So you like this kind of game. This is something that like pops out to you. What is it you like about it?
Because it's in between. It's not so complicated that I can't stand it, like some games.
Yep.
But it has just enough complication that I can see there's a mastery of.
Yeah, I like the info all being on the card in front of me. Like I don't have to flip references and stuff like that. That was the thing we liked about Malifaux too. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Marvel Crisis Protocol had that. I think the thing I like, a lot of people have a problem with bespoke dice. One of the things that I like about it is that when you have this trigger system, you can't stack abilities with like absolute. You know what I mean? You have to hope on the RNG to make it happen. And so that little bit of randomness makes the game a little less rock, paper, scissors. A lot of these skirmish games I find where you have like ability stacking, it turns into Magic where it's like, and I bing, bang, boom, and I win. You know what I mean? Like, and even with Magic's RNG, you can deck stack with like 4 copies of cards in standard Magic and make the thing that you want to have happen usually happen after a few pulls. This kind of game, because you have to hope for the RNG to happen to trigger your switches and stuff, you have a little bit of like uncertainty that means that even the best, most powerful dude, like your Wrathmane with like all of his super triggers can go in and occasionally just whiff and be
I've been shut off the table immediately. It's like the characters really do not have a lot of survival.
Yeah.
Unless they're in units.
You want to be in units. And this was, how many points did you say that was, that first game?
Oh, it's not very much.
It's like 30, 60
30
maybe?
and the characters are like, I'd say it's less than 100.
Because I think it's 100 for the box, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty close to that. I don't remember the next
100?
thing. The character, like my orc is like 30 if I remember right. The hunters are only 20, and I don't remember what the wise man is, but it's only like 20.
I think it's between 75 and 100 per side, basically.
It's pretty small.
We're playing with 40% of what the standard game size is. So when you actually look at like the overall game size, you're going to have 2 to 3 units probably with attached characters, maybe some big beastie.
Well, yeah, the unattached thing is one of the things I like, but this gave you just enough to run at each other, and there's not much to it. In fact, I would say a lot of the units don't work well without the character.
Yeah, and well, in the next game, you're going to see that because the next game is about incorporating characters as joined units. So like my War Surgeon will be in the Bucklers.
You can use your small guys.
Your Wrathmane will be in your Hunters. And you'll get a sort of an idea of what that looks like. And that's going to be mission 2 of our 3 missions. So that one's going to be called The Mirror of the Wasteland. There's a big pool on the table, some big walls. And there's going to be some weird stuff we have to find. So we'll show the table for that one in our next one next week. But thanks for coming in.
No worries.
And thanks to you guys for watching. Thanks, Tom Ash.